It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. A profound reflection on honesty and personal responsibility. The quote, "It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one," is attributed to George Washington, the first President of the United States, and a symbol of integrity, leadership, and moral clarity. Though brief, this quote offers a deep insight into human behavior, emphasizing the importance of honesty, responsibility, and self-awareness. In a world where excuses are commonly used to avoid blame or discomfort, this quote remains as relevant as ever. It serves as a timeless reminder that facing one's mistakes with honesty and accountability is more admirable and effective than hiding behind poor justifications. In this essay, we will explore the quote in its historical, philosophical, psychological, and practical contexts, and examine its applications in personal life, leadership, and modern society. Historical background and origin of the quote. George Washington was not only the first U.S. president, but also a military leader and founding father deeply committed to ethics and discipline. He is widely admired for his moral compass and principled leadership. The quote reportedly appears in a letter Washington wrote to his nephew, advising him on conduct and integrity. In this context, Washington was addressing the human tendency to justify mistakes with poor excuses rather than owning up to them. His words reflect his belief in the power of honest character over superficial rationalizations. 2. Linguistic and structural analysis of the quote. Let's break down the quote into its components. It is better. A moral comparison. This introduces a clear value judgment, suggesting one action is preferable over another, not just practically, but ethically. To offer no excuse. Choosing silence or honesty. This implies that in the absence of a valid explanation, it is more honorable to remain silent or simply admit the mistake, rather than attempt to defend it falsely. Then a bad one. Condemning weak justifications. A bad excuse can mean anything from a transparent lie to an irrational or disrespectful justification. Such excuses often insult the intelligence of others and weaken trust. In essence, the quote encourages individuals to resist the instinct to protect their ego through deception, advocating instead for accountability and truthfulness. Third, ethical philosophy and personal responsibility. 1. The value of mistakes. To err is human. Mistakes are part of learning and growing. However, how we respond to our errors defines our character. Offering a poor excuse adds dishonesty to the original fault. 2. Accountability as a virtue. Taking responsibility is a sign of maturity and strength. It requires courage to acknowledge when we are wrong without deflecting blame. Excuses, especially bad ones, often reflect fear and weakness. 3. Respect for others. A bad excuse is often transparent. People can usually tell when they're being deceived or manipulated. Thus, offering one implies that the listener is naive or unintelligent, undermining mutual respect. Choosing honesty, even when uncomfortable, demonstrates respect for the intelligence and emotions of others. It fosters trust and sincerity in relationships. Fourth, psychological perspectives on excuses. 1. Defense mechanisms. Freudian psychology describes excuses as defense mechanisms, ways we protect our self-image and avoid guilt. But poor excuses are fragile shields that quickly crumble under scrutiny. 2. The boomerang effect studies, including those from Stanford University, show that when people detect an insincere or poor excuse, they are more likely to lose trust in the speaker than if the person had simply admitted fault. 3. Authentic self-esteem. True self-esteem does not fear fault. Those with a strong sense of self can admit their shortcomings without feeling diminished. Conversely, those who cling to bad excuses often lack confidence and seek to maintain a false sense of control. V. Applications in personal life. 1. In relationships. Whether in friendships, family, or romantic partnerships, honesty is essential. A poor excuse can erode trust more quickly than the mistake itself. Example: if someone shows up late for dinner and says, "I got stuck in traffic," when the real reason was oversleeping, they risk long-term trust for short-term comfort. Saying, "I'm sorry, I mismanaged my time," may be harder, but earns more respect. 2. Parenting and teaching values. Children mimic adults. When parents make excuses, children learn to do the same. But when parents own up to mistakes, children internalize values of honesty and responsibility. 3. Self-growth. Every time you resist the urge to make an excuse, you strengthen your character. Admitting your errors is the first step toward genuine improvement. 6. Applications in the workplace and leadership. 1. Professional ethics. In a professional setting, owning up to mistakes builds